Hello everybody and a very warm welcome to Jerez for the penultimate event of the 2017 Euroformula Open season. 7 days ago, Harrison Scott claimed the championship in Monza, but there are still 4 races to run in the campaign, and will anybody be able to stop the irrepressible march of Scott towards yet more victories? This is the middle of a very busy run to conclude the season, the first of 2 events in Spain, as you join myself, Ben Evans, on an absolutely beautiful day here in Andalusia. The sun beating down on the circuit, but a light breeze as well, making for absolutely wonderful conditions to go motor racing. Well, qualifying this morning was a very entertaining session, which came down to a 3-minute shootout at the end of the session after Pedro Cardoso spun away his chances with a big moment coming out of turn 5. That brought out the red flag, and with several drivers having been on a hot lap at the point the red flag came out, it all came down to the final few moments of the session, where Harrison Scott claimed yet another pole position, and he shares the front row of the grid with Devlin De Francesco, with then this man, Simon Laxton, lining up in 3rd, after he and De Francesco were able to sneak an extra flying lap in right at the end of the session to leap up the order. Harrison Scott, however, was the class of the session, the only driver to get beneath the 1-minute 36-second barrier, and therefore his pole position mark just shy of 0.4 of a second, which, given that the top 19 cars are covered by 1.7 seconds, gives an indication both of Scott's dominance, but also just how close and competitive the Euroformula Open field is this season. It's an 18-lap race ahead of us, although, of course, if the safety car were to come out, then it would revert to the 35-minute time constraint, as Yanni Fitcher comes into his grid position, the German driver lining up in 7th, on the prowl for more podiums after a very good weekend in Monza. For Scott, well, he has won 10 of the 12 races that we have had so far this season. That meant that doing the double in Italy last weekend was enough to sweep him clear in the championship. However, behind, there are still plenty of battles raging. The fight for 2nd in the championship, currently led by Nikita Troitsky, with Amir Vaidyanathan 3rd in the standings and Yanni Fitcher in 4th, and potentially poised to overhaul the Indian driver in the rookie championship. Well, that's Troitsky who leads the way from Fitcher and De Francesco. But with 4 races to run, over 100 points left on the table, then there is everything to go for. Here is the Indian driver, Amir Vaidyanathan, one of 3 Carlin pilots this weekend. And Vaidyanathan lining up in 5th, and will be hoping to get himself back onto the podium, having been adrift of the rostrum for some time. The Indian having a very, very strong start to the season, but his last podium finish was a 3rd place in race 1 in Paul Ricard, so he's gone 3 weekends without a trip to the podium. We'll be hoping to reverse his fortunes. He shares the front row of the grid with Eliseo Martinez, the Teo Marti Motorsport driver, who once more really shone in qualifying, able to manage the traffic, manage the laps, and is starting to put together some very solid performances as we head towards the latter stages of the season. Devlin De Francesco then 2nd on the grid. The top rookie Canadian had a very, very frustrating time of it in Monza, retiring from race 2 after a collision with Lodovico Laurini before it even reached the first corner. And that has dented somewhat Vaidyanathan's chances in the rookie championship, and has also seen him slip to 5th overall in the standings. Francesco, like so many of the field, still in pursuit of that first victory of the season. It's only Thiago Vivacqua and Amir Vaidyanathan who've also scored wins alongside Harrison Scott. In-car coverage today coming from Lodovico Laurini, but the Italian having a somewhat frustrating qualifying session, and he is going to line up in 13th position. And that comes off the back of a very, very frustrating weekend in Monza for him. He got caught up in other people's instance in both races. So pole position again for Harrison Scott, who has now been on pole for the last 6 races. Devlin De Francesco, second on the grid. Can he get the jump on Scott, although it's a short sprint towards turn 1 here in Jerez. Third on the grid for Simo Laaksonen, leading the Campos Racing charge. And the Finnish driver had a tough weekend at Silverstone, but otherwise, through the second half of the season, has generally been notching up some very strong results. Fourth for Nikita Troitsky, leading the Rookie Championship, second overall in the standings. And Troitsky, very unfortunate in race to Monza. He picked up a puncture, but then recovered magnificently to get in amongst the points. Amir Weidenheithen, third in the standings. He was at retirement in race 2 in Monza, but wants to get back to the sort of form that he was enjoying earlier on in the season. Eliseo Martinez leading the Teo Marti Motorsport charge. The squad were on the podium here 12 months ago with Harrison Scott behind the wheel. And certainly a good start to the race. Could see Martinez making a trip to both the rookie and overall race podium. This Jerez circuit being so difficult to overtake around. Lining up in 7th place is car 7, Yanni Fitcher, his second event with the RP Motorsport team, having switched squads ahead of Monza. And at the moment, it seems to be working out very well for him. So here's our lineup in full. Harrison Scott and Devlin De Francesco on the front row. Then Simo Laaksonen and Nikita Troitsky on row 2. Row 3 of the grid, Amir Weidenheithen, Eliseo Martinez ahead of an all RP Motorsport. Row 4, Yanni Fitcher and Alex Karkozik. Fortet lockout row 5 with Ben Hingley and Petru Florescu ahead of the all Brazilian. Row 6, Matteo Siorio and Guilherme Samaya. Samaya steadily moving up through the order. Lodovico Laurini and Cameron Das on row 7, ahead of Thiago Vivacqua and Christian Hahn. Pedro Cardoso, hopefully he'll have had his car repaired after the qualifying incident, shares row 9 with Taryn Reddy, and then the BVM drivers Daniel Liu and Daniel Pranenko complete the field, both of whom got caught up a little bit in traffic during qualifying. So as I was saying, this Jerez circuit, overtaking opportunities can be few and far between. The longest straight is only just over 600 metres in length, which means that instead they've got to try and drive through the turbulent air from the cars in front of them, push the grip to the limit, and then try and force their rivals into a mistake. For Harrison Scott, it's going to be all about converting as the lights go out and leading that charge towards turn 1. So the grid is clear, the cars fired up ahead of the 13th race, the Euroformula Open season. Thank you very much for joining us today here in Jerez for what promises to be another very closely fought contest. Federico Raulini, he can see the job in front of him. Quite a few cars to try and clear. He will be hoping for a good start. That short uphill sprint towards turn 1. So they've got one more formation lap to see how the track has changed since the qualifying session that took place a couple of hours ago. And once that is done, it will be fully focused on the 18 laps ahead. So everybody fired up. The green flag about to be waved. 12 months on from his debut in the Euroformula Open, Harrison Scott returns to Jerez as the champion. It's been a good week for Scott, having been nominated as one of the 4 finalists for the McLaren Autosport BRDC Young Driver Award. Faced some stiff competition. Nonetheless, excellent to see his achievements throughout the 2017 season being well recognised. A short run uphill towards turn 1, and another short sprint towards turn 2 before the track winds back on itself, the road falling away slightly through turns 3 and 4. This is where they can start to build up the momentum for one of the quickest, most challenging turns on the circuit, which is the long radius, high-speed right-hander at turn 5. As they head into the corner, the road rises, they come over the crest on the exit. This is where Pedro Cardoso had his moment just on the exit in qualifying, but then a good run down the back straight. is where they might be able to challenge into turn 6. Here's a look then at the Drivers' Championship standings. Scott already crowned, but Troitsky has got a healthy buffer in second. Weidenheithen, Fitja and Devlin De Francesco, however, have got everything to race for to finish third in the standings. We've got this brace of left-handers before feeding into the double right. Potentially overtake into the first of the right-handers if you're right up behind the car in front. And then you can also force the mistake and they run wide on the exit, maybe look to challenge into the centre chicane. Field pointing their way through there now. Come out of the centre chicane, round the back of the pits complex. That will bring them through to the left-hand hairpin and then back around to the grid. Dark car of Christian Hahn just warming his tyres. They all run, of course, on the Control compound Michelin tyre. They're all equipped with the Dallara F312 chassis. And it comes down to driver skill and just those little setup tweaks that can make all the difference. Qualifying was very close. We should be in for an excellent race. Marini heading to take his position on the grid. The Carlin team all in front of the monitors. Startled to be so, as into the pit lane, unfortunately, comes Pedro Cardoso. Some more problems for the Brazilian, the team having to repair the car very rapidly after his qualifying incident. Otherwise, they're all present and correct and on the grid. Daniel Liu and Daniel Pranenko come into position. Just that gap for Pedro Cardoso. So we get the signal from the marshal, and it's eyes the gantry time. We're about to go racing once more. So the lights are on, they're out. Who gets the jump from the line? It's a very good start from De Francesco. A terrible start from Simo Laxonen, who gets swamped, but Harrison Scott is going to lead into turn 1. With Nikita Troitsky into third, behind De Francesco, 3 wide further back as Laxonen looks to recover, but they've all got away cleanly. But the jostling for ground in these early stages. Laxonen getting pushed out wide. Kenny Fitcher and Alex Karkozik both able to make their way past the fin. Meanwhile, Iorio gets pushed wide as he tries to overhaul Eliseo Martinez. They swing in towards turn 5 now, and already Harrison Scott trying to break away from the rest of the field. Ben Hingley tries to make progress on Simo Laxonen as they swing down the back straight for the first time. And Meir Weidenheithen's got a very good run on Nikita Troitsky as Petru Florescu goes side by side with Mateus Iorio. Weidenheithen looks to the outside of Troitsky. He's not quite got the momentum. He's on the dirty part of the road, so he can't sprint through. Still, Florescu, the Fortec car, to the inside of Simo Laxonen now. And Laxonen's going to struggle to shut the door as Florescu sneaks past. Also, Ben Hingley making good ground as well. Lots of dicing going on through the field. It's Laxonen just behind Hingley, then Eliseo Martinez, then Florescu, and Iorio into the centre chicane for the first time. Liam Samaya looking to try and make a little bit of progress. Likewise, Tarun Reddy, who launches the inside at the back of the picture in the dark Drivex car to the inside of Daniel Liu. He gains the place. Liu gets demoted. Pranenko running in just behind him as they head towards the hairpin, on towards the completion of the first lap. Oh, disaster! Thiago Vivacqua and Lodovico Laurini have had a coming together, and I rather fear, and it does indeed bring out the safety car. They're right at the edge of the circuit as Vivacqua vacates the cockpit. Rather fear Lodovico Laurini. Just a little bit stuck in position as we'll try and disentangle what happened to them momentarily. So the timing screen tells us the safety car is out. Just looking for the signal from the marshals. So the pace appears to have now... no, they're still absolutely going at it, hammer and tongs, aren't they? And maybe the safety car not being scrambled. And there's the waved yellow flag as they head into the hairpin at turn 6. And yet there is the safety car board. So now they're going to have to back off the throttle and form up behind the safety car. This, I think, is the scene of the incident. It's the double right-handers where Laurini and Vivacqua came together. Now this, an opportunity for Devlin De Francesco to close the gap a little bit. Harrison Scott. So here's what happened. In car Lodovico Laurini. Oh, and he gets clouted by Thiago Vivacqua, and the pair of them off into the gravel trap. From that angle, there certainly didn't appear to be a car's width to the inside of Laurini. So that is 3 races in a row that the Italian has been somewhat drop-kicked out of. Fortunately, neither car too badly damaged. As the marshals get to work, winching Vivacqua's car out of position. Now, for Thiago Vivacqua, that is bad news in that he was 6th in the standings coming to today's race. He scored no points in Monza, and his teammate, Simo Laaksonen, may be in a position to overhaul him. So the classification, then, Scott leads the way. Devlin De Francesco 2nd, Nikita Troitsky's 3rd, Amer Weidenheithen into 4th, Yanni Fitcher 5th, Alex Karkozic is 6th, Ben Hingley 7th, Laaksonen 8th, Martinez in 9th, Floresco completes the top 10, and a very frustrated Pedro Cardoso stalks into the Teo Marti Motorsport pit box and out of the race. Well, they catch up to the safety car. We had 2 safety cars in each of the races in Monza. Well, certainly in race 2 in Monza last weekend, and Harrison Scott was an absolute master at the restarts, judged both of them to perfection. As here is Vivacqua offering his version of events to Lodovico Laurini, suggesting that Laurini rather shut the door on him. Difficult to tell in-car from Laurini, other than that both of them went for the same piece of tarmac, had a disagreement over it, and have ended up out of the race. So we should get one more lap behind the safety car, and we'll get the additional laps credited to the race distance. So the race length expanded to 19 laps. But yet one more tour behind the safety car, and this is always the challenge here in Jerez, particularly on that frantic first lap. It's the best opportunity of the race to gain ground as Marini's car out over the barrier. So Harrison Scott tucked up right behind the safety car. Race distance goes out to 20 laps, to credit the 2 laps we've had behind the safety car, and confirmation that the safety car is going to be in on this lap. So now it will be about the restart for Harrison Scott. He'll know to back off, give the safety car a chance to peel into the pit lane, and then we'll be able to judge the restart to his own pace as he wants to. Be the beneficiary from the safety car period? It all depends on the restart. De Francesco had lost a little bit of ground to Harrison Scott by the time that they came through to the end of the first lap of the race. This is the chance for him to close something up. Likewise, Nikita Troitsky gets a little bit of breathing space as Lodovico Laurini. It's that long walk back to the pits. Everybody else just moving around, trying to maintain that heat in the Michelin tyre, making sure they're in prime position when we do get towards the end of the lap. Ben Hingley making a good start to the race. He gained a couple of places to move up into 7th position, and this is what Hingley did a couple of times in Monza, just found a way of stealthily moving up through the order whilst keeping his nose clean. There he is, the red and white Fortec driver. He's got Simo Laaksonen behind him. Laaksonen, sadly for him, the big loser from the opening stages. He was just a little bit slow away at the start, and it's really caught him. So now, at what point does Harrison Scott pull the trigger, get the race back underway? They're all bunched up as they come out of the centre chicane. And Scott accelerates away now as they head towards the hairpin. De Francesco read that really well. He stays with Scott as they turn through the hairpin. Likewise, Weidenheithen with Troitsky as we go green once more. However, Scott, he's not going to be threatened, I don't think, by De Francesco as they head towards turn one. Nobody quite close enough to challenge. They're all just jinking, showing each other in the mirrors. And then the very short sprint towards turn two. Hingley has to cover the inside line from Simo Laaksonen. Laaksenen's got Eliseo Martinez right behind him, who also didn't have a brilliant start to the race. As they pick up momentum through turns 3 and 4 into the sweeping turn 5. A good exit here. That might open the door for a little bit of a challenge down the back straight, and somebody's run wide. It's Weidenheithen, and it means that Yanni Fitcher's all over the Indian. The Carlin driver covers the inside line. Fitcher gets his nose in front as they head towards the braking zone. Weidenheithen's going to have to battle it out. He's got the inside line, covers the position. That was well defended from Weidenheithen, but it's allowed the cars in front of him to really break clear. And Yanni Fitcher is still right with him. Tries to look to the inside into the left-hander. Florescu busy defending from Matheus Iorio a little bit further back. And Iorio is going to go through as Florescu slithered wide. So some changes lower down the order. Weidenheithen, though, in fourth, has just withstood that challenge from Fitcher, but it has bunched the whole pack up. Taryn Reddy runs very wide further down the order as they jink through the chicane and then accelerate towards that final hairpin. Scott building the buffer over De Francesco, then Troitsky, Weidenheithen. As Hingley tries to close up on Karl Kozik. Laaksonen is right with Hingley, and Simo Laaksonen could have a good run here on Ben Hingley as they head towards turn one. He was right with him as they came out to the hairpin, and Hingley covers the inside line. Laaksonen's going to go for it though, tries to force his way through. Hingley just about covers it, but still Laaksonen is with him. Is he going to be able to take the shot into turn two? Again, Hingley covers the inside line. Laaksonen challenges the outside, but he can't get the overlap for turn three. They pound downhill, but the Campos man still right underneath the rear spoiler of Ben Hingley. Towards turn 5, that'll be a brave man who challenges to the inside line. But if Laaksonen can stay with Hingley, surely there's the opportunity on the exit down the back straight. Here they come then. But Laaksonen just lost half a car length in the turbulent air through the high-speed right-hander. And he's not near enough to challenge as they get on the brakes. But again, Laaksonen gets right with Hingley as they head into this sequence of 2 lefts, then 2 rights. Laaksonen looking every which way as Hingley just slithers a little bit wide coming out the left-hander. Laaksonen tries to stay with him. The frustration for the Finnish driver, Simo Laaksonen, is that he has got clearly a very quick car underneath him. At the moment, he just can't quite exploit it. The front of the field just beginning to stretch a little bit as they come through to complete the 6th lap of the race. Fortec team pass on instruction. Laaksonen this time round not near enough to challenge the inside line. Meanwhile, Matheus Iorio is right up behind Eliseo Martinez. Martinez, the car with the red nose coat. Battles behind as well. Daniel Liu closing up onto the tail of Christian Hahn. Front of the pack, Harrison Scott setting the fastest lap. He now leads by 1.2 seconds over Devlin De Francesco. Nikita Troitsky further 1.1 seconds adrift. Laaksonen again tries to like the move on Ben Hingley. Hingley consults his mirrors. Can see exactly where Laaksonen is, doesn't need to move off the racing line. Therefore, there's not an awful lot Laaksonen can do. Instead, he runs a little bit wide out over the AstroTurf. What Simo Laaksonen has been able to do with great effect, though, is drive through the turbulent air of the car in front on a circuit where the corners are so frequent. He's doing a good job of managing that understeer, managing the tyre, and still staying right with Hingley. Into the centre chicane for the 7th time. Jink their way through, accelerating them back towards the hairpin. Conclusion of another lap. Daniel Liu still with Christian Hahn. They're closing up onto Petru Florescu as well. The race leaders already through. Harrison Scott now almost 1.5 seconds up the road ahead of Devlin De Francesco. Nikita Troitsky a little bit lonely in 3rd at the moment. So it's De Francesco who leads the rookie class from Troitsky. Then Yanni Fittia currently 3rd in the class, ahead of teammate Karl Kozik. On towards turn 5, and again Laxton trying to wind up the pressure on Ben Hingley. He may have succeeded a little bit more this time. Hingley just could see the car pushing out mid-corner. Is it going to open up enough of a window for Laxton to challenge into the hairpin? Camera angle foreshortens. Laxton thought about having a little bit of a lunge, but the braking distance of these Euroformula Open cars incredibly short, because relatively speaking, these cars have effectively got way more grip than power. The spoilers producing a huge amount of aerodynamic grip, and that means that they brake very, very late for each turn. Still, however, Sima Laxton able to stay glued to Ben Hingley's gearbox. But for the last couple of laps, Hingley's not put a wheel wrong. He's not given even that glimmer of an opening that Laxton needs. And the question is, well, how long on a warm day like this can Sima Laxton stay right behind Ben Hingley before he starts to get through that optimal operating window of the Michelin tyre? Again, they accelerate out of the hairpin. Great scrap this, across the line, through to complete their 8th lap of the race. The uphill braking zone to turn 1 means that they are able to go very deep before slowing the car down. Through turn 2, again, Laxton trying to close up. But he then slips a car length or so adrift through turns 3 and 4, which means he'll need to gain a fair amount of ground through turn 5 in order to challenge into the hairpin. That time round a little bit neater for Hingley, and he's got the exit speed. Laxton closes a little bit in the toe, but only a few hundred metres by the time they reach the hairpin. It's not an awful lot that Sima Laxton can do. At the front of the field, the order is still Harrison Scott leading the way from Devlin De Francesco. Then Nikita Troitsky in 3rd, Meir Weidenheithen in 4th, Yanni Fittia in 5th, Alex Karl-Kozik 6th, Ben Hingley 7th, or was he? Runs wide, Laxton draws alongside him. Again, the Fortec driver just able to preserve the track position. As he came out of the left running wide, it actually gave him the inside line for the right-hander. Not ideal, because it's allowing Eliseo Martinez to close up to this battle as well. And Sima Laxton still getting every opportunity to inspect the Fortec car's rear spoiler. Absolutely no opportunity to find his way past. But as they accelerate along the start and finish stretch, just a car length between the pair of them, that will close a little bit as they head into the braking zone. Slight puff from Hingley as he stops. Laxton a little bit closer, heading towards turn 4. Yes, he is. So this is an opening. Eliseo Martinez trying to close up to them as well. Sima Laxton closer than he was on the last couple of occasions into turn 5. This is the best opportunity Laxton has had thus far. If he gets a good run out, which he does, Hingley's going to have to defend, surely, into the hairpin. Laxton closes. Does he jink out? Yes, he does. Darts to the inside. Hingley looks to shut the door, but that's a very well-judged move from Sima Laxton, and it was several laps in the making. Now, can he break free? Or has Ben Hingley got something in retaliation? Hingley looks immediately at the inside of Laxton as they swoop through the left-hander. Likewise, Sima Laxton he's now got a fair old deficit back to Alex Karkozic. A couple of seconds to try and close in. Meanwhile, behind, Cameron Dass is right with his teammate, Mateus Iorio, the two Campos drivers. Now starting to engage in battle. At the front of the field, Harrison Scott sets another fast lap. Here you see it. Another look at the move. Laxton left it till very late, at which point Hingley couldn't cover the inside line in time. The Campos team could be very pleased with the performance of their driver in that instance. Meanwhile, here is the fight for 4th and 5th between Amaya Weidenheithen and Yanni Fitje, as the German tries to chase down the Indian. They were together a couple of laps ago. It's now just a second between the pair of them. As we approach the new half-race distance, we've got 2 laps added. Start of the race due to the first lap safety car. Meanwhile, Laxton is breaking away from Hingley, and Hingley now fairly rapidly slipping into the clutches of Eliseo Martinez. So this potentially could be a fairly lengthy afternoon for Ben Hingley, because he drops a wheel out over the curb next to the hairpin. That's going to give Martinez another couple of tenths of a second, a little bit more encouragement for the Spaniard. And given that Petru Florescu has also had his challenges in this race, just wonder whether or not the qualifying setup for the Fortec car a little bit better than the race setup. Iorio and Das still battle as well just behind. They are fighting over the final points-paying position. Cameron Dass, the American, the reigning American Formula 4 champion, learning the Euroformula Open machinery, learning all these circuits as he goes in this second half of the season, having made his debut at Silverstone. So this gaggle of cars accelerating through. While communication given to them for Eliseo Martinez, he knows exactly where Ben Hingley is. He can see him right in front of him. Meanwhile, Simon Laxton released into clear air, immediately doing his best lap of the race and immediately taking a couple of tenths of a second out of Alex Karkozic in 6th. So those gaps starting to close up as well a little bit. Harrison Scott, the front of the pack, 3 seconds clear of Devlin DeFrancesco, who's got the same margin over Nikita Troitsky, but thereafter it starts to bunch up a little bit. Cameron Dass fractionally closer to teammate Mateus Iorio last time around. We're talking in terms of hundredths of a second. It feels like it's going to be reasonably sufficient. So our race leader, Harrison Scott, halfway, or just over halfway, to his 11th victory of the season. And the question is just how many races this campaign can Scott claim? Second place for Devlin DeFrancesco, picking up his rich vein of form from Silverstone, where he scored a brace of second position finishes. DeFrancesco, enough of a buffer over Troitsky. Yanni Fitje still trying to close up onto Amaya Weidenheithen, but Weidenheithen has responded with his personal best lap of the race. Meanwhile, Simon Laxton getting appreciably closer to Alex Karkozic. Laxton 6 tenths quicker than Karkozic last time around. So there are some gaps that are just beginning to close up. Devlin DeFrancesco, very impressive debut season in the Euroformula Open. If he's able to stay where he is, then that's going to be his 5th podium finish of the season. With Nikita Troitsky behind him, another very frequent visitor to the podium. It's going to be, by my reckoning, a 7th outright podium of the year for Troitsky. There is the Russian. He's got Amaya Weidenheithen just starting to come towards him a little bit. Weidenheithen, in fact, took half a second out of Troitsky last time around, as the Carlin driver gets the hurry up with the progress of Yanni Fitje behind him. So the fight for 3rd, not necessarily all settled just yet. Question is just how much Troitsky's been driving to a lap time, conserving his tyres, because now he possibly just needs to find something a little bit more. Weidenheithen 2/10 up again on the Russian through the first couple of sectors of this lap. So accelerating through. This to end lap 13 of the race, so 7 to run. Oh, and the problem for Daniel Liu, who has beached it and is frustrated. And is that going to bring out a safety car once more, because he's not going anywhere in a hurry. And he's right at the edge of the circuit. The timing screen suggests that the safety car may well be on the cusp of being scrambled. Indeed it is, and that is a real pity for us, in that our wonderful fight for third that was coming together is going to be temporarily ceased. There you see the waved yellow flags and signal the safety car is back out, so the field bunched up once more. All of Harrison Scott's hard work whittled away, but it's going to give several drivers the chance to make a little bit of ground, not least Simo Laaksonen, who was already pretty much onto the cusp of Alex Karkozic anyway. Here's another look at it. Oh, it was a coming together with Petru Florescu possibly, and as Liu tried to recover, the car just ground itself over the gravel trap. There is Florescu into the pits and out of the race. Very frustrated driver walks away. Now, what does this mean in terms of how long we're going to have to play with post-safety car? Because we've already got 24 minutes on the race clock. We've got a 35-minute time limit. So we've only got 10 minutes left in the race. So whether or not we're going to get all our 6 laps in, a little bit open to a debate. Marshals here at Jerez, though, doing a very good job of recovering errant vehicles from gravel traps. Harrison Scott's going to pick up the tail of the safety car. And all of his advantage over Devlin De Francesco whittled away. For Nikita Troitsky, the rate of progress from Romeo Weidenheithen had just started to become a little bit of a worry. Weidenheithen having found a half a second or so on consecutive laps to chase down the Russian. So the fight for the final podium position still up for grabs. Weidenheithen then in 5th, Yanni Fitcher 6th, Simo Laaksonen 7th, Ben Hinchley in 8th, Eliseo Martinez in 9th, Mateus Iorio in 10th, the last points position, then Cameron Dass in 11th, Guilherme Samaya, Tarun Reddy 13th, Christian Hahn 14th, Daniel Pranenko in 15th. He's the last of the cars that's currently circulating. And we're certainly going to get at least one more lap behind the safety car. Hopefully that is going to be the last of the safety car laps. So the 35-minute time limit in terms of how long the race has been running, we will be able to get a sense of that when they come through to the end of this lap. It's been a fairly quick lap behind the safety car, relatively speaking. So over the line they come, and 26 minutes and 46 seconds. So that gives us 8 minutes left on the clock, 5 laps to complete. And do one more of those at least behind the safety car. In terms of the championship, everything is going to stay much as it was. De Francesco is going to close some ground on Yanni Fitcher and Amir Weidenheithen, but Weidenheithen should maintain that 3rd position in the standings. He is ahead of Fitcher, so that is going to be a tussle well worth keeping an eye on in the remaining 3 races of the season. It's down the back straight. towards turn 6. All the while, the time limit for the race continues to tick away. The good news, though, is the safety car coming in at the end of this lap. So again, it will be the responsibility of Harrison Scott to back the field up to choose the moment where he gets underway again. Richard Dutton, the principal of the Fortec team there on the right-hand side of the picture, watches from the pit box. Ben Hingley, his remaining driver in the race, currently in 8th place. It's lights out on the safety car. And Harrison Scott then backs the field up almost to a walking pace through the centre chicane. And then where he picks up the throttle again towards the hairpin. Nobody can afford to be kept napping, because if they lose ground at this point, they're going to really struggle to regain it. And Scott pulls the pin early. The field accelerates once more. Devlin De Francesco's done enough to consolidate second. Likewise, Troitsky buys himself a car length or two over Amer Weidenheithen. So the green flag once more, 4 laps to go as they cross the line. Plenty of scope to make up some ground behind. Everybody scrabbling for a little bit of ground. No changes in the order. Eliseo Martinez is right up behind Ben Hingley. Alex Karkozik trying to go with Yanni Fittier. And the German again up behind Amer Weidenheithen. Troitsky a little bit closer to Devlin De Francesco. Swinging through turn 5, Martinez trying to get into the turbulent air. Behind Hingley once more, I think he might have a chance for a run here, Eliseo Martinez. Certainly a challenge behind, and it's Christian Hahn who's alongside Tarun Reddy. Reddy covers the inside line in the dark orange car, the dark and blue car. Christian Hahn unable to pick his way past. It's been an anxious moment for the Drivex team, as these are their 2 drivers going in it wheel to wheel, and Hahn looking every which way. Reddy defends though into the second of the left-handers. Doesn't slither out too wide. Doesn't open the door either. Through the centre chicane. Everybody filters through. Laxton trying to close back up to Alex Karkozik. Guilherme Samar going strongly. He's tucked underneath the rear wing of Cameron Das. Accelerating out of the hairpin. 3 laps to run, or 35 minutes. The likelihood is it's going to be touch and go, actually, as to which we get. Meanwhile, Troitsky now again slipping into the clutches of Weidenheithen. So we're much as we were, but Weidenheithen has lost several vital racing laps to really threaten the Russian. In terms of the push for second in the championship, this would do Weidenheithen's hopes no end of good if he could find a way around Troitsky. So they head out of curve down the back stretch. Weidenheithen not near enough to challenge Troitsky on this occasion. Yanni Fittier trying to close up to Amer Weidenheithen. Harrison Scott already leading the way through. At the end of this lap, and start the penultimate lap of the race. Matheus Yorio, meanwhile, he's looking to run with Eliseo Martinez, and again it's Ben Hingley who's a little bit of the cork in the bottle. However, Martinez, he's been hovering behind him for several laps, but he's not yet been able to create a clear-cut overtaking opportunity. And that is the case once more. Through the centre chicane, Yorio closes up to Martinez. Matheus Yorio getting a good run here on Eliseo Martinez. He's not going to be near enough to the Spaniard, though, towards the hairpin. Martinez taking that wide entry, trying to just buy himself a tenth or so on the exit, tightening the exit as they sprint through into the penultimate lap of the race. Martinez closes up to the tail of Hingley as they get on the brakes into turn 1. Hingley, though, no dramas, just takes the racing line It's going to make Martinez do all the hard work. We've got this train of cars starting to form up behind as they sweep downhill through turns 3 and 4, out towards one of the further extremities of the circuit. Back straight, one of the only real changes this Jerez circuit since it was constructed in the mid-80s. It used to have a curve in the middle of it. It was just a straight run. Meanwhile, Weidenreichen's got Yanni Fittier right behind him as Martinez looks for the move. Hingley has to defend, chops across the nose of Eliseo Martinez. This has been a really entertaining race. Lots more overtaking opportunities and attempted moves than maybe the smart money had anticipated. And this is a fight that's going to go all the way to the checkered flag. Front of the field, meanwhile, Harrison Scott already 2 seconds clear of Devlin De Francesco, who's got a similar margin over Nikita Troitsky. Sima Laxonen closes up to Alex Karkozic. So is there going to be one more place to be gained here for Sima Laxonen? That's what he's aiming for. It's not close enough to the RP Motorsport man as they get on the brakes into the hairpin, but again, Laxonen taking just that slightly wider swooping approach comparison to Karkozic. It's going to buy him a fraction of a second or so. So we're into the last lap of the race and still plenty of battles to be resolved. Laxonen with Karkozic, Martinez with Hingley, the rest of the field with Martinez. Towards turn 2, still Ben Hingley busy defending. He's got this train of cars up behind him. Race leader Harrison Scott, however, has no such concerns. It's been a busy race, this, for Scott, in that he's had a couple of safety car restarts to negotiate. But otherwise, it has been another absolutely emphatic performance from Scott, who is looking well set to do another clean sweep in the Euroformula Open with pole position, fastest lap and the race win. Devlin De Francesco, a very solid drive this towards second place. Rookie victory as well for the Canadian. Just a couple of corners to go for Harrison Scott. Really impressive drive this once more as he picks his way through the centre chicane. Can now unwind the throttle. He's just got the left-hand hairpin to contend with. And Harrison Scott heads into the final turn. It is going to be an 11th victory of the Euroformula Open season for Harrison Scott. He thanks the RP Motorsport team. He celebrates. He takes the checkered flag and wins in Jerez. Second place goes to Devlin De Francesco, with Nikita Troitsky completing the podium ahead of Amir Weidenreicchen and Yanni Fittier. Ben Hingley doing a great job late on to keep that train of cars behind him. Another triumph for the RP Motorsport team. A good day for Carlin. 2 cars in the top 5. Scott acknowledges the marshals on the way round. Meanwhile, this Sima Laxonen making that move on Alex Karkozic on the last lap of the race. It was a wretched start for Laxonen, but he did a fantastic job of recovering as the race unfolded to eventually finish in 6th position. Check then in the final classification. Harrison Scott taking the win and fastest lap. Devlin De Francesco second and top rookie ahead of Nikita Troitsky. Amir Weidenreicchen in 4th. Yanni Fittier completing the rookie podium in 5th ahead of Sima Laxonen, gaining ground late on over Alex Karkozic. Ben Hingley a fine defensive drive to 8th. Clear of Eliseo Martinez with Mateus Iorio into the points in 10th. In terms of the rest of the field, Cameron Dass into 11th. Guilherme Samaya, Tarun Reddy and Daniel Panenko jumping Christian Hahn late on. Unfortunately, several of them in and amongst the walls, but they have got another race to look forward to tomorrow. In the Drivers' Championship, Scott extends his advantage over Troitsky, but the real battle is the one for 3rd in the standings, which is now only covered by 14 points. Sima Laxonen likewise beginning to close up on to Thiago Vivacqua. Alex Karkozic having a late season surge, and Ben Hingley into the top 10. So into part ferme then for Harrison Scott, as Scott rolls to a halt. And he will celebrate. He's getting very used to this. This is his 6th victory in succession. And Harrison Scott gets out of the car. Job done. Another emphatic performance. Devlin De Francesco receives the congratulation of Carlin Mechanics. As Scott unhooks himself from his helmet. Receives the congratulations. De Francesco, 2 really good safety car restarts from De Francesco to stay with Scott. Meant that his 2nd place was never in any doubt. And he's still got 3 more opportunities during the 2017 season, maybe, to get on to the top step of the podium. Nikita Troitsky, another podium finish. 4 points in the Rookie Championship for Troitsky. De Francesco closing the gap a little bit with another rookie win. Harrison Scott, however, absolute domination once more. He didn't get the greatest of starts to the race, but he was able to get the track position and the racing line into the first corner, and thereafter was just able, despite the interruptions of the safety car, to gradually build his buffer.
Another win, Harrison, but I don't think after you were champion, I don't think it was something easier than the previous ones.
No, definitely not. It's really tough here this weekend, obviously. Following the GP3 and the F2 rubber, it's kind of changed the car a lot, but really happy with obviously qualifying this morning was tough as well with the red flag in between, well, on the good run, so we was a bit kind of compromised then, but no, to get the win out there, nice and hot, and yeah, no, feels brilliant.
Congratulations, podium time.
Thank you.
From pole position, it was Harrison Scott who led the charge to the first turn. Simon Laxton bogged down from 3rd on the grid and got swamped by those behind. It meant that Scott led from De Francesco and Troitsky as the field safely negotiated the first corner. Plenty of frantic battling on the first lap of the race as everybody was looking to gain ground on the circuit, which can be very challenging to overtake on. Unfortunately for Tiago Vivacqua and Lodovico Laurini, they tangled, brought out the safety car as both cars were stuck in the gravel trap. That served to bunch the field up. Once we got going, there were some great fights throughout the field, not least battle between Ben Hingley and Simon Laxton that lasted for several laps. Eventually Laxton able to pick his way past Hingley with a beautiful move into the hairpin down the back straight. Then the safety car came out once more after Daniel Liu was left beached. Late on, Hingley had to defend from charging Eliseo Martinez. At the front of the field, Harrison Scott stretched the field and was able to secure his 11th victory of the season. The RP Motorsport Harrison Scott dominance continuing in Jerez, with Devlin De Francesco finishing 2nd and top rookie ahead of Nikita Troitsky. It's a celebration once more for Harrison Scott. Drivers waiting to be announced up onto the podium after a thoroughly entertaining race. On a hot day here in Jerez. So 3rd place for Nikita Troitsky. The Russian has been incredibly consistent this year. That first win still eluding him. Maybe it will come tomorrow. Runner-up, Devlin De Francesco. Really impressive drive again from De Francesco. But Harrison Scott to the top step of the podium. Another emphatic performance, another victory for RP Motorsport. So the drivers on the rostrum. On to the presentation of the trophies. Third place to Nikita Troitsky. And of course, the trophy being a sherry glass, being Jerez being really the centre of sherry production. Runner-up, Devlin De Francesco. And race winner, Harrison Scott. He's probably now had to install about 3 new mantelpieces at home as he hoists his trophy aloft on the top step of the podium in Jerez. RP Motorsport celebrating another triumph as well. Posing for the cameras. And then to make merry with the bubbly.
Fuerte el aplauso para los integrantes. La foto.
So after the national anthem, time to celebrate with the bubbly. De Francesco absolutely douses Harrison Scott, Nikita Troitsky. Likewise, 3 very happy drivers on the Jerez podium. And we will turn our attention to the rookie rostrum. And again, an excellent rookie race. Third place going to Yanni Fitchi, who couldn't quite overhaul Amaya Vaidyanathan despite being up behind the Indian on a couple of occasions during the race. So a chance to again enjoy in super slow motion. Rookie class winner Devlin De Francesco. Super slow mo shots giving you opportunity just to see the various aerodynamic forces at work on the cars. The drivers balancing the aerodynamic grip, the mechanical grip, the power they've got available to them. Again, the rookie class 2017 proving to be a very strong one. More often than not this year, we've had rookie winners on the outright race podium. So third place in the rookie class, 5th overall, Yanni Fitchi, runner-up in the class, and 3rd overall for Nikita Troitsky. And Devlin De Francesco, rookie class winner for the Carlin team. More trophies, more bubbly to enjoy. So the trophy for the German. Likewise for Troitsky. He's given away a couple of points, Devlin De Francesco, in the rookie championship, but another very solid result for Nikita Troitsky, leaving him still very well poised in the rookie championship fight. Devlin De Francesco, another really solid performance. So the drivers will pose for the photos. We will be back tomorrow at the same time for the 14th race of the Euroformula Open season.
Fuerte el aplauso para los...
So as the Canadian national anthem salutes Devlin De Francesco, and the drivers are about to have another fight with the bubbly, it means it's time to say goodbye from Jerez. We will be back tomorrow. We'll see you then.